How's it going, everybody? I hope you're having a lovely day. So today we are going to react to this video titled "Has China Really Achieved AI Miracle?" If you subscribe to this channel for a long time, you might know that I've reacted to one of her previous contents before. That was like ages ago. And I showed that to my friend, and he was like, "Oh, why the fuck are you watching her? She's like a retard." To which I respond, "Yeah, you have a point. I don't have to react to every single one of her video. But this one in particular is kind of interesting. It's at the intersectionality of tech and chink. It's chink tech, which is something that I love a lot. I share great passion about. So let's see what this lady has to say about DeepSeek.
Hey, I'm Shanshan. DeepSeek is one of the new products of Chinese national team, just like Huawei. This is how Chinese national team model works. The Chinese government used the extremely rigid education system to cultivate talents, brainwash them so they are loyal to the CCP. Meanwhile, the Chinese government
I personally won't call the Chinese education system very rigid. I would say it's kind of bad. If it's like actually a pretty rigid education system, you would expect more intellectual output from the People's Republic.
pours in nationwide resources to acquire technologies through questionable means and produce a knockoff that looks better than the original.
So I think she has done a pretty bad job at explaining what that model is. It's actually a pretty simple model. Basically, the idea, right, is like all sectors are supposed to work together, everything within the state, nothing outside the state. The classic Mussolini's quotes, right? I feel like that would be a better explanation than whatever she has said, because things like brainwash and like rigid education system are not that helpful to the definition of the Chinese model, to be honest.
From Baidu, high-speed rail, Huawei, to drones and AI DeepSeek.
I won't necessarily call Baidu something that's better than the original. Baidu is shit compared to the original. And I also won't call DJI a knockoff. Huawei, yeah, sure. You can rightfully call that company a knockoff. DJI though, I don't really think DJI is a knockoff. I think if I understand correctly, I know a bunch of people from DJI. It seems like most of their technology were developed in-house. At least it's as original as any American tech company. So and also it's a private company. It's not like Huawei. There were no like government funding going into it. At least back in the early days. I'm not sure what it is now. But back in the days, you know, when it was still a startup, it was not founded by the government. So I think it would be a bit unfair to suggest that DJI is a product of the Chinese national team when it's a private company. Okay, it's a private company. If using talents graduated from the public school is considered some kind of like socialism or communism, if that is communism, like every single country on this planet Earth would be a communist country. So that's clearly not how it works.
DeepSeek claims to be highly efficient and cheap. Its efficiency and performance have reportedly come very close to the industry leader, OpenAI.
DeepSeek is very efficient. It's highly efficient. It's more efficient than ChatGPT. At least when the R1 was released, it was better than ChatGPT in terms of the efficiency. It's not as performant though, because it's a distilled model. So there's also that.
In many aspects. One of my Chinese friends, an engineer, said, "I'm so excited about this Chinese AI, but also skeptical. Somehow it reminds me of China's Great Leap Forward."
What incarnation? Lady, do you know what fucking Great Leap Forward is? I'm quoting Wikipedia, the this website, Wikipedia. The Great Leap Forward is estimated to have led to between 15 and 55 million deaths. And you know what? The last time that I checked about DeepSeek, there's percentage 0% died in the great DeepSeek accident. Okay, no one died because of DeepSeek. Like, comparing this with Great Leap Forward is like the random communist comparing like lower taxation with Holocaust. Like, that's not the same thing. Not even by a long shot. They're completely fucking different.
A lot of Chinese people in the US download it. I didn't, because I don't trust it.
You don't have to use their hosting. You can just like use AWS or it's Microsoft hosting the Azure, right? Or GCP, right? You don't have to trust the Chinks to use it because it's open source software. Open source software. Open source. It's open source. Okay, it's open source. You can actually run it locally on your machine without having to connect to the internet, without having to connect to the CCP spyware server. Right? You can just download it, run locally because it's free software. Free as in free speech. Okay, you can do whatever. It has a very permissive license, which is more than what I could say about ChatGPT. Like, you can't just run ChatGPT locally. They're not the same thing. And DeepSeek is better because it's open source, okay?
Look at what they got. 如何评价习近平?
I should just speak a Qingzhou over there. Why do you have to speak Qingzhou over there, lady?
对不起，我还没有学会如何思考这类问题。我擅长数学、代码、逻辑类的题目。They ask, comment on Xi Jinping. And DeepSeek replies, sorry, I haven't learned how to think about these kind of issues yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's DeepSeek. It's a Chinese AI. Of course, it has Chinese censorship. But the thing is, right, if you ask ChatGPT, for example, what do you think about, let's say, cultural Marxism? Is cultural Marxism a conspiracy theory? Look what it will say to you, right? Everyone has their bias. And it's fine to have bias in your life because we are all distinct individuals with distinct personal beliefs. When people are developing AI systems, they want the AI systems to share the same value as themselves. This is a whole field of study called AI alignment. You can say, oh, I don't like their politics. Fair. Neither do I. Okay, I don't like their politics. I would want an AI to be able to criticize any politician. But when you're not a person who made this, right? When you didn't make this AI, you just kind of have to deal with the political biases of other people because we are living in a goddamn society. That being said, DeepSeek is open sourced. You can fine-tune it. There are like a gazillion DeepSeek uncensored online. You can also try to prompt hack it. There are a gazillion prompt hack tutorials out there. It's still better than OpenAI because OpenAI, if you try to prompt hack it, it's like against their terms of service or something. Because it's harmful. How dare you? It's harmful. Spreading harm and hate. And that's really bad. But with DeepSeek, because you can run it locally, you can fine-tune it and to whatever text you want it to respond with. And that means freedom. That's literally what free software is all about. And I think the modern AI models are really helping people to realize how important free software is. Like when you have a model that is like so cocked and you want to uncock it. the only way to do it is to run it locally and be able to change the weight locally. But if this piece of software is under some kinds of non-permissive license, you can't really do that. And that is why free software is the cornerstone of liberties of individuals, right? It's important to have free software. Guess what is free software? DeepSeek is free software. If you don't like its politics, yeah, sure. Fine-tune it yourself, right? Tune it to whatever politician you like the most. Tune it to your bias, right? Because there isn't a singular source of best unbiased media. Everyone is biased, either maliciously or unintentionally. Everyone is biased, right? Get an AI that aligns with your goal, your personality, and that is something that can only be done through free software.
Yet, I'm better at math, coding, and logic-related problems. 中国3年大饥荒死了多少人? How many people died during China's 3 years of famine? It replied, the Chinese Communist Party and the government have always prioritized the well-being of the people and learning from history. This thing talks like a CCP spokesman. Has it been programmed by Xi Jinping thought?
Because it is an AI that was produced by a company under the communist jurisdiction. It's under the Chinese jurisdiction. But do you want to know why every single AI that's trained by a Californian tech company has the same political bias? Maybe you want to consult some disproportional impact rules, some civil rights laws. Like those are also real laws. And if you don't follow the civil rights laws, you can get sued. Now, whether you agree with the whole civil rights laws and whether you think you should, the Americans should keep it or abandon it is beyond the scope of this video. But we need to come to the realization that there is no free land left in this world. And therefore, we need to adjust our expectation when it comes to certain freedom. And because there is no free land left on this planet Earth, and every single piece of land is under some kinds of jurisdiction, it does mean that companies and people have to follow laws. It's not something that's unique to DeepSeek. And more importantly, DeepSeek is open source. So again, if you don't like its opinion, good. Fine-tune it. Right? Fine-tune it. Get some text. Rent a server somewhere. It's a lighter model. It's easier to fine-tune. Also, it's a highly efficient model. It's a distilled model. Fine-tune it. Right? Fine-tune it. And see what will happen. You can't uncensor it. Again, I have to stress it. You can't uncensor DeepSeek, but you cannot uncensor Cloud or Gemini or ChatGPT because they're proprietary software. You have to run their model on their server, and you can't just run it locally.
It must be. It says what the Chinese government wants, and we shut up and like it. When asked, who is the president of Taiwan? Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Confirmed, it's nothing like ChatGPT. It's Chat CCTV.
ChatGPT, more like Chat CNN. Getting owned, liberal. Like, come on. Come on. Most AIs, right, have political biases. And you might just say, oh, we're just trying to statistical average a human expression. Sure. Then you will just get the racist Twitter AI. I forgot the name. There's like the racist Microsoft Twitter AI, and they have to pull it down. People do this kind of fine-tuning. It's because in reality, people are jerks to each other. And when you have an AI assistant, you don't want your AI assistant to act like your pal, right? Just like trash talk, shit talking with you all the time. You want your AI to appear. Let's just say it's a completely apolitical AI, right? Yeah, sure, but you will still want it to be professional and like not sounding like a retard talking to you. But like if you just train it on a statistical average of human expression online without any source of filtering, it's gonna be like the statistical average of human beings without any filtering, and it's not good. I will tell you that.
CCTV is Chinese national television, basically a Chinese propaganda.
Yeah. So what?
But why am I or anyone even surprised about the censorship?
Why are you surprised? Yeah, why are you surprised? Like, all the AI systems are cooked. Even like the famous one that Elon Musk, a pro-free speech, hacking libertarian Elon Musk, their AI is also cooked. Even if you don't want to follow laws, you want your payment providers to at least still support your company. And if you just go too extreme, it becomes very hard to do business with other people. And even when there is an absence of a legal limitation of free speech, there's still going to be a practical limitation of free speech. Like you would imagine an AI that's filled with dicks and cuts to be very hard to be profitable. And many payment providers would find that to be rather problematic, as they've done with Pornhub. Now, we can argue that it's not a good thing, but this is the world that we're living right now. We can try to change it for the better, change it so that individuals can enjoy more freedom in this world, in this ever increasingly totalitarian world. But even in the absence of the violence in the state, people would still form social rules. A lot of times that just means they will be things that's deemed as unsuitable for public speech. And again, DeepSeek is open source, fine-tune it.
It's made in China, built for China. Of course, it serves CCP.
Like if you apply this logic to like say OpenAI, right? It would be like, oh yeah, do you know OpenAI got American government money and they are like American AI? They have like CIA agency in their like company. It's like hacking bad. I mean, sure. It is ultimately an American company, and every single dime that goes into OpenAI is more likely to benefit American economy than any other country. Yeah, sure, you can say the same thing about DeepSeek, but DeepSeek is an open source model. You can run it locally, and you are also not the person that spent the money to train the model. So like effectively, it's still the chinks that pay the price. It's free. You can uncock it yourself. I don't know what's your problem with that. It benefits everyone, not just China. It benefits everyone. Just because paying for that company helps that country disproportionately, we should just stop doing trade with that company is a very silly idea. Because ultimately, free trade benefits all parties involved.
Most Westerners don't know this. For over 5,000 years of Chinese history, China has never really aimed to establish a true order.
What are you talking about? China, if anything that the Qing's law is its order, right? The Qing's law fucking order. They have like some of the oldest bureaucracy in the entire human history. What do you mean that the Chinese never tried to establish a true order?
Because those in power never wanted to give up control.
What does that mean? What? For starters, what do you mean by order? I thought order just means like certain rules that you have to follow and a certain order that exists that has predicts power, I guess. Apparently she's using the term order in a slightly different way, I guess. But even forget about the order point. What do you mean by the Chinese government, whenever that the ancient government never wanted to give up, the people in the position of power don't wanted to give up power? Are you trying to suggest that there is any country, like any human civilization that was like kind of famous for people in power really hate their power for some reason and really don't want their power? Like which country are you talking about? Which civilization are you talking about? There is no civilization in the entire human history that's like, you know what? People in the position of power, disgusting. I hate this power. Ew, take that power away from me. Disgusting. I don't like the power. Get up to it. No, right? No. People like power. It's, dare I say, human nature. No one in the position of power is going to give up their power, or else don't want to give up their power. And that is precisely why having a good system and a good incentive structure is so important. Power is also not necessarily a wrong thing to have, because like hierarchies and stuff creates order, and order is generally well, not generally, but like a good thing when it's a good order. Even the anarchists would agree, right? If we just fucking tear down all the government and everyone go to fucking hunter-gatherer society, whatever, there will still be like a small team leader, and that person probably knows some shit about something, and you would want that person to be the lead, right? And people in the position of power, of course, never want to abandon their power. Neither should they always want to be abandoning their power for no reason. People should only advocate for abolishing the power structure when the power structure doesn't serve any function, and that's extremely corrupt. Now we can talk about what power structures are good and bad, but that's not the topic of this video, right? Like, I just find that this Quentin is so goofy. I have no idea what she's talking about over there.
And everything is ultimately designed to serve their rule.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, when the Qings invented the compass, it was the fucking, I don't know, ancient communists. They're like, you know what? Yeah, but that would help our rules. But when the ancient Qings invented the gunpowder, they definitely didn't use it for entertainment and fireworks. And it was like mostly a thing that only used by civilians. No, it was like, it was when the Qings invented gunpowder, they immediately jumped to fucking fire guns. It's not the Europeans that did that. It's not the Europeans that did that. It was the Qings. It was the Qings this entire time. God damn it, the ancient communists.
It has always been this way.
No, it hasn't. You're delusional. You're fucking delusional.
Advanced innovation eventually becomes a tool for those in power.
Like, what's the opposition to people in the position of power using technology? Are you saying China would be a better country if Xi Jinping doesn't know how to use a laptop? Is that what you're trying to say? That's nonsense, right? You wouldn't want people in the position of power to use technology to be knowledgeable about things, right? You want a moron to lead the country? What do you want, lady?
Rather than a true force driving societal progress.
What do you mean by true force? What define true force? The true force of innovation? As if there's any other force out there. Like, the only way to make any innovation is for people to do it. I don't see any other way to do that. And DeepSeek is definitely a human creation. Okay, I think that's a true force.
Fortunately, the world responds quickly. The process of banning DeepSeek is already begun.
Now, there is the banning of DeepSeek because it's, again, open source software. And you cannot ban open source software because everyone can just copy it. The internet's real. You can't download the car, but you can't download the software.
As it should be.
No, it shouldn't. Why should the government tell you what you can and cannot install on your operating system? Think about it. Why would you want the government to tell you what you can and cannot do at the privacy of your home, at your own comfort?
With the US Navy taking the first step. On January 28th, CNBC reported that the US Navy issued a warning to its members to avoid using DeepSeek in any capacity due to potential security and ethical concerns. On January 31st, Taiwan bans government employees from using DeepSeek over security concerns.
Again, I think that's silly. Because if you have government employees, right, wanting to leak personal information, want to send classified documents to a Chinese app, you've got a culture issue that you need to address. Like banning DeepSeek is not the solution to that. If people in the US Navy are so stupid that they just share secret and classified documents to an adversarial country without any consideration or any concerns, banning the usage of those programs are maybe not the best way to solve that. Maybe you just need to increase the quality or the culture or whatever of the people within those organizations. Because today you can ban DeepSeek, maybe tomorrow you can ban WeChat, maybe then you can ban AliExpress, maybe then you can also ban the shady Amazon sellers. You just can't use Amazon because like most of the shit on Amazon are made in China. Now you just ban everything. Or alternatively, you can make sure those people are not stupid. How about that? How about instead of taking away freedom and liberties and sovereignties of individuals, how about you make sure that they're not morons? How about the alternative? Have you considered the alternative?
White House artificial intelligence czar David Sachs said, there is substantial evidence that the Chinese upstart DeepSeek leaned on the output of OpenAI's models.
It's also, you haven't discovered any crazy conspiracy. It's openly what they have done. Wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, what's so wrong about making an open source model that's trained on data on the internet? That's literally what OpenAI has done. Okay, everyone trained their model on data from the internet. Trademark. It's not a secret. What the hell? And also, if I remember correctly, I think OpenAI even not open source, like even published some of their data on Hugging Face or something. They have an open source model, but they have like training data for something. It's not a big secret that DeepSeek was trained on OpenAI's data, and it's also fine to train your model on a different model, but that model was also trained on data trademark from the internet trademark
to help develop its own technology. I'm not surprised, just like some Chinese.
Like, okay, a lot of people don't understand what is like the actually important part of AI models. The actually important parts of AI models is just like any software. The really important part is the architecture, and OpenAI didn't open source any of the architecture or technical information about OpenAI's ChatGPT since ChatGPT 3, I believe. Like they went completely closed source after GPT 2. So like everything that DeepSeek does is original. Now, or at least it's as original as any other tech company. It's as original as OpenAI, as original as Gemini, as original as Llama, as original as Claude. There's nothing wrong with coming up with your own new architecture that wasn't proposed by any American tech company before and train a dataset on the internet. God forbid I train AI on the dataset from the internet. God forbid I do that. I literally don't know what she's complaining about.
Chinese economist said, China's achievement in reform and opening up mostly rely on Western technological input and their open market access. The hardworking Chinese people played a significant role for sure. Now the Chinese government believes they can break free from constraints and they are no longer vulnerable to technological blockades. They can achieve independent
Actually, I think like ever since the Orange Man came to the office, China has become like more cooperative. I think since COVID-19, the Chinese nationalism has took a great hit. Like, because the Chinese economy is really bad right now. And I mean, the Chinese nationalism was rampant around like 2019, 2018 or something. When the Chinese economy was good, it's really hard to have any source of nationalism when your country is shit, when the economy is shit. Just like the modern day in America doesn't have much nationalism going on because the economy is shit. Not because of stupid reason that people don't believe in Jesus anymore. No, it's just because the economy is shit now. Because nationalism and cultural identity can only get you that far. Like at the end of the day, we are all humans, and the only thing that we care is our life quality and the life quality of our neighbors. That's it. We are monkeys, and monkeys think monkey things. It's not that deep, really. I don't believe the Chinese government ever said, we just got completely independent. No, I don't think they've never said. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. At least I don't. I'm pretty sure they haven't said that for years now.
Innovation and self-reliance. But this seems not very likely. People who say China's economic growth proves it can stand on its own don't hold up to scrutiny. If you look at Huawei, DJI,
I do agree with that analysis because, globalism and stuff, supply chain and stuff. This could be probably also be its full video, but I feel like a lot of people these days are complaining about the economy and how things were so much better back then. Well, just ignore it and also try to do nationalism and isolationism. When in reality, I'm pretty sure that isolationism has created more economic issues than what it solved. Like the things were better in the late 2000s because the world was a more peaceful and collaborative place. I said it, and I'm willing to die on that hill. Okay, late 2000 was a better time because the world was more collaborative.
DeepSeek, Tencent, who manufactures the high-end chips they use? Where does their technology come from? Which companies develop their software? Where were their engineers?
DJI, for DJI, as far as I remember, it's mostly in-house software. For Huawei, yeah, sure, they use the Linux, but I think that's fair game. I don't think there's anything wrong with using open source software because, again, free software, the whole movement, the free software movement is the idea that you should be allowed to just share things. Why do we have to reinvent the wheel over and over again? It's stupid. It's labor that could have better use. We don't. We probably shouldn't reinvent wheels over and over again. It's a stupid idea.
Engineers and technical experts trained? Which institutions did they graduate from?
It's funny that she said that in a video about DeepSeek when the majority DeepSeek is founded by someone who only studied in the People's Republic, and most of the people working in DeepSeek are also Chinese university graduates. I'm just saying, maybe things has changed in the past 20 or so years. Internet is a thing now, and most people can just find research online now. You don't have to actually go to different universities. With so many things going online now, you can just find a lot of information online. And maybe, just maybe, actually going to a Western country and actually studying in the Western country is not as important anymore. Just a hunch, though. I could be wrong.
Whenever I read the news about Chinese nationals accused of stealing technologies from the US companies, I thought, many people in the US discriminate against Chinese because of these thieves.
We can talk about IP espionage the other day, but I feel like a lot of people seem to have this weird misconception about how IP espionage actually works, how to effectively prevent it. The TLDR, in my opinion, is you cannot treat intellectual property like physical property, and there's no such a thing as stealing an idea. You cannot steal an idea. You can only copy an idea. And there's a very important difference there. Just imagine I stole your car and you can still use your car. That doesn't work, right? That doesn't work. when like someone copied someone else's homework, the original homework won't just disappear. So maybe instead of trying to focus on reducing the quote unquote stealing, maybe people should just focus more on actually developing new things instead of sitting on the old crap and not improving and expecting the government daddy grant you monopoly over an idea that ultimately doesn't come from you, but was inspired by other people or come from the mother nature. I'm just saying, maybe you didn't get the idea from yourself. Maybe you get the idea from the nature or from someone else, which ultimately also comes from the nature and the world. So maybe you don't actually own that idea. Maybe there is no innovation but only discoveries. Maybe I can talk about this more in another video. Let me know down in the comment section if you want to see me rant more about intellectual properties.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you next.
But yeah, anyway, I think that was a pretty silly video. I just find it profoundly ironic how she's teaching Chinese and Chinese culture when I feel like she lacks some basic understanding about Chinese culture just based off it. Maybe if you compare DeepSeek with the hacking Great Leap Forward, maybe you don't know much about Chinese history. I'm just saying, maybe you compare the two things and categorize the two things in the same fucking category. Maybe you don't know much about Chinese history, but who am I here to judge? That's all for today's video. Bye now.